In the world of filmmaking, we have a lot of different words that we like, to throw around there. We have cinematic, we have vintage, we have prime lenses, we have zooms, we have cine lenses. All of these terms is something that we use to describe things and to kind of get a feeling of content. One thing that I do not like about this is actually the word like budget lenses, because what determines a budget lens these days? Is it image quality? Is it the pricing? How do we kind of tell if something's a budget lens or something's a high-end lens or an intermediate? I think it might be a mix, but just because a lens isn't 3,000 euros, it's considered to be a cine lens sometimes. And I kind of want to, make a stand for the lenses that are not super expensive, that are super high quality. And one of those lenses and lens kits, it's Dulens. So to be transparent, I got the 5 lens set from Dulens, and my set contains a 21mm, 31mm, 43mm, 58mm, just like the Helios, which I love, an old Soviet lens, and an 85mm. And there's also a 4 lens kit available if you'd rather have, a smaller setup. But my kit contains, like I said, a really wide angle and a really close one. So for me, this is kind of like the perfect spread, and it's of course prime lenses, and it's in their vintage series, which means that they have a bit of a different coating compared to the model lenses these days. It's still very sharp, it's a nice rendition of the image, but it also has some other flaring. It flares a bit different, so you have some colors in the flares, and this might be, for some people, a deal breaker, but for me, I really like the vintage feels in my lenses, so I'm super happy with this. In terms of design, all these lenses, they're built like mini tanks. They have a PL or an EF mount, and it's an interchangeable mount. So if you need EF sometimes, you just switch to the EF and you have shim, so you can make it perfect with infinite focus, and you have a PL mount, so you can change back and forth depending on what camera you use, which I find very useful. Also, like I said, in the building of these, they're like tanks. They are all around 500 plus minus grams, so it's, you don't need to rebalance your rig when you switch the lens. Also, you have the focus threads and the aperture threads stay in the same place on all lenses. So this is a kit where you actually put some thought into the design, so you don't need to rearrange your focus or follow focus, or if you use an automatic, or if you use a motorized aperture. So everything is really nice, well balanced, and it sits in the same place. I like that. The front filter thread, now it's very technical here to be a video from me. The front filter thread, it's 72mm, and the outside diameter is 80mm, and it's the same across the entire line, which makes it really easy to use. If you have a matte box, it's the same clamp for everything. If you have filters, it's the same for everything. So in terms of usability, I would say that these are perfect. And when it comes to image quality, like I said, this is a vintage series, but the image quality is just supreme. And here's what I don't like with people talking about budget lenses or this or that. This is a very, the lens is about 850, 900 per lens. So it's still, affordable compared to some of the, the cine primes that are out there. But I wouldn't call this a budget lens, because the image that you get is just so nice, and it's so nice to work with. It feels really premium. The lens, it has a nice weight to it. It's a long focus throw, so you can dial everything in perfectly. The one thing that I would want to change with this lens, that is the near focus, because it ranges from somewhere around 45 plus centimeters, and then with the 85 it's a bit longer. I think it's about 86mm. So you can't really get up super close in terms of macro, but then again, it might not matter depending on what kind of movie you do. And if you really need a macro, you can use a diopter, or you can use a macro lens. And when it comes to macros, Dulens also has a series called the Triassic Macro, and it's 4 macro lenses where you can get incredibly close. I haven't tried those yet. I'm super interested, because they have a very warm tint. It looks very lifelike, all the macros from those lenses. I'll see if I can find some samples to put in here. I'm not quite sure, but we'll see. But yeah, so that is the little minus for me with these lenses. It's the near focus. And I mean, when I'm filming something like this now with like a talking head, or if I'm filming a movie, or like the scene, or walking or something, to be the word cinematic again. I don't mind not being able to go, you know, this close to something. For that, it's, you know, this is not built for it. But in terms of, you know, product shoots and product photos, yeah, then I wouldn't go with this lens. But that's also okay, because, you know, every tool has a purpose, and these ones definitely has a purpose to tell a story, and that's what I really love about them. When it comes to distortion, these lenses, even the wide ones, they do not distort the image, so they're pretty straight, which is super nice to work with. In terms of limitations, you just heard pretty much the only limitation I found so far. It could be a limitation with the flaring also, depending on what you're looking after. Like if you want less flares, then this might not be the lens for you, but that's just details. So who would these lenses be for? Well, I would say that these lenses is perfect for, you know, filmmakers, aspiring filmmakers, or if you want to get your first lens kit and you don't want to get the cheapest lens kits just because you want a lens kit, but you want something with quality that you can grow with. So then I would say that this is perfect for short films, narrative, documentaries, the small commercials, as long as it's not, you know, the macro shots you need. This kit really can take you from starting to, you know, how far you want to go. I mean, this kit is going to grow with me for a long time. I've had it for a couple of months already, and I'm still, you know, finding out new things that I like with the lenses, new ways of using them. So for me, these lenses is amazing. I've used them in a lot of my YouTube videos as well already. And kind of with the vintage feel, I'm going to do a video later, compare these to the Cooke SP3s, because, well, for once, Dulens, they asked me to do it because they've had that kind of as a reference lens when they developed these. So it would be super fun to see how these lenses stack up to the Cooke lenses, because the price difference, it's enormous. So I'd say that's a fun video that I'm going to drop probably in March, because there's been a bit of a shortage on the rental, because I'm not going to buy Cookes to try this. So that's one video coming up. I'm also going to compare it to some of the older vintages like the Jupiter, the Helios, and those lenses, of course, they are super old these days. They're a bit soft. They have special bokeh as well, but I want to see how this one, you know, how it takes the good, nice, positive things from the vintage lenses and puts them in a modern lens. So those are all coming up. So if I were to summarize these lenses in a few sentences, I would say it's a perfect kit for filmmakers, no matter if you're a beginner or if you know, have come away in your career, because these will follow you and they will do a solid job for you during a long time. It's a lens set compared to 5 lenses or 4, depending on which one you choose. So you have everything from like a very wide 21mm to a fairly tight 85mm. The thing to take into account is the close focus distance. It's not the closest, but in terms of image quality and rendition, it's amazing. The other thing with these lenses, like we spoke about, they are built exactly alike, so you do not need to rearrange your rig, not for balancing, and not rearrange where the follow focus might be, you know, positioned. So that's a big win for these lenses, I would say. So this is kind of my first thoughts, and first thoughts, I mean, I've had them for 3 or 4 months, but I've used them consistently, and I really like the way they feel. I've had them on set both for, you know, commercial projects and for short film, and I really love the pictures that comes out of them. So I would definitely recommend them. Have a look at the link in the description. I'm not an affiliate, so I'm not getting anything for you to go there, but I would really appreciate you, you know, dropping a like, dropping a comment about these lenses, or what lenses you prefer, you know, in your workflow. It's nice to see what people work with. And yeah, that's it for now. I have a few really nice things coming up in the future. And as I say, I'm still using the Cerulite here. I love it. But yeah, so for now, thanks for watching. Bye.